Welcome guys, going into Matt Cameron here. We're delving into his drumming anyway. So this is looking at Matt Cameron's playing on the Soundgarden album, Bad Motorfinger 1991. So, you know, that was the year for grunge in as much as, you know, you had Pearl Jam's 10, you had Nirvana's Nevermind, and you had this album. Huge albums for all those bands. Soundgarden, to me, they weren't, I love Soundgarden, but they weren't my favourite band of those three I've just referenced, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, and Soundgarden. They weren't my favourite, but from a drumming point of view, I feel like there's more going on. What Matt was doing on the drums there, some of it's just super technical, and quite, you know, in terms of the theory as well, the time signatures, the phrasing, you know, there's some really complex drumming in there. And elsewhere on Total Drummer, we've looked at Black Hole Sun, which we're not looking at now. But again, it's just going into Black Hole Sun. It goes into that 5/4 section in the middle. It's just kind of typical of his approach and that band, how they just would weave in some really quite tricky stuff, but just make it sound awesome. So listeners can be like, it's quirky, weird, I don't know what's going on there, but it works. So we're going to be looking at Jesus Christ Pose, Face Pollution, Mind Riot, Drawing Flies, and Fell on Black Days. Some interesting stuff here with time signatures, some interesting techniques, some really complex beats, but we're going to break it down, make it accessible to you, and you're going to be able to then play some of these incredible drum parts from Matt Cameron from this really, really influential grunge album. Let's go. Alright, so let's kick off with Jesus Christ Pose, because it is just an awesome drum beat. The sheet music's below this. Grab the sheet music, right? And then you might look at that and quite understandably feel a little bit overwhelmed because it's quite scary looking. So what we're going to do, there's another ways we could break this down. We could break it down into just feet and just hands, or like we could split limbs so many ways. I'm actually just going to split the bar like this, vertically. And we're going to look at beat 1, then we're going to look at beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. I just think that's going to be manageable. So, beat 1, first 4 notes, 16th notes, 1, E and A. Now, you can see the sticking above it. It says right, left, right. So let's just pick the hands out here. It's going to go right hand on the floor tom, left hand on the high tom, right hand on the floor tom. That's not that hard. Boom, ba, boom. Easy, right? Then, on the first note, with that right hand on the floor tom, we're also going to play a bass and an open hi-hat. So both feet go down, and the right hand hits the floor tom. Then the left hand hits the high tom, right hand hits the floor tom. Then at the end, we're going to do a bass drum. That's it. All right, moving on to the second beat. So this has an 8th note at first, so it goes 2 and A. 2 and A. There's a hi-hat with that first note. There's always a hi-hat on the first note, by the way. It's just keeping a quarter note pulse through this, like a metronome. And then you're going to do a flam on the snare. And you can see an accent above it. Because a flam generally has got the accent anyway, it's going to be loud. So that's that hi-hat and flam together. Then on the and, we're going to do another snare. And we're going to put a bass with it. And then we're going to do a little left-hand ghost note on the snare at the end. So the hands are going to go flam, right, left, flam, right, left, and you know, make sure the left at the end is softer. The flams with a hi-hat foot pedal, so it's your left foot, and then your accented right hand also occurs with a bass drum, and then it's a little ghost note snare at the end. So going 2 and A, 2 and A. All right, so then we come to the third beat. So again, hi-hat on the first note. Now, just it looks like there's some different stuff going on, but let's just break it down, right? It's all on the snare with the hands, and it goes right, left, right, left. So single stroke roll on the snare, not that hard. Dynamically, it's going ghost note, accent, ghost note, ghost note. So we want to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. That's not that hard. Go slow, but it's not that hard. All right, and then you've just got to get the hi-hat foot pedal with that first right hand, and then a bass drum you notice on the end on that left hand The left hand is a ghost note, so don't you'll be tempted probably to play a loud snare with that left hand because you're doing a bass drum at the same time. But don't split it. Get that independence. Use the control to play a soft left whilst the nice punchy bass drum's happening at the same time. Then we come to the final beat in the bar, beat 4, and we're going to go right, left again. So it's just single stroke roll. How hard can that be? Well, on its own, not that hard. So we're going to go a loud right hand on the snare drum with a hi-hat foot pedal. Always remember the first beat's always hi-hat foot pedal. Then we're going to do a soft left hand on the snare, and then we're going to do right hand on the floor tom, left hand on the high tom. So it's going to go snare, snare, floor tom, high tom. Boom, boom. Now, as that loops, I don't know if you remember, but the first beat started with a right hand on the floor tom, left hand on the high tom. So as it loops, you get this boom, 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 boom. These 4 notes together. Boom, 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 so it creates this nice thing on the loop. But for now, don't even think about that. It doesn't even exist. Focus on 1 beat at a time, just to break it down and keep it simple. So let's check that out. Just those 4 notes: 4, E, and A. All right, guys. So you've learned each beat of the 4 beats in this bar. So this is a great way. This method is one of the methods you can use to break things down. And hopefully, if you haven't done it before, you realise that you can tackle something really hard. If I just said to you, play that, work it out, you might think, no, I can't. That's just too hard, right? You might think that. But if you do break it down like this, it can become much more manageable. It can become something achievable. Okay, so you can use this for any beat that's difficult. This is the method. But now we've broken it down, we do need to bring it together. If you do this and it's just impossible, that's fine. It just means you need to go back to the individual beats and work on them more until you've really got them down. It just means you're rushing the process too much. Slow it down, break it down, and then come back to this when you've had a bit more practice. You can get there, but we're going to put it together slowly. So the whole bar counts 1 E and a 2 and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. That's the count. We need to just remember all those little nuances, the ghost notes, where there's a flam, the accent, which drum it's on, the hi-hat foot pedal giving us the quarter note beat. There's so much going on. That's why I broke it down. But when you're ready for this, when you've practiced those elements enough, you're ready to put it together. Come and watch this. If you're not ready, that's fine. You come back to it. But for now, let's try it all together slowly. All right, next up, Face Pollution. Another really hard beat by Matt Cameron, but awesome. Right, and actually, I want to break this down and just, because it is quite daunting to look at the whole thing. So let's just break it down. Let's just look at the bass and snare, right? So the snare is on every and. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. That's it. And the bass is around it. If I just kind of tap that out, we're going 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and again 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and 4 E and. That's not that hard. So let's just do that on the kit first off. All right, so then we're going to add the rides in. Now, the rides, this might have been confusing you, but the rides I've written as these black kind of diamondy squares on the top line. So it's on the ride line, but it's a filled-in black note head. That's because he's playing on the bell of the ride, so I'm using that as the bell, that symbol. Sometimes I'll do a triangle there. Depends what mood I'm in, but there it is today. And I've just explained it to you so you know, so it's all good. So it's hard to know exactly what he's playing, and I love breaking this stuff down. I listen to the studio recording, it's nice, it's clean, you can hear it well, but sometimes there's so much going on, you can't tell. I'll go and watch live videos, try and get those little glimpses of the drummer. It barely, it doesn't focus on the drummer enough, does it? So, I'm making up excuses, basically saying it might be a bit wrong, but I think it's right. And if nothing else, it will sound right, because I analysed it to the point where it's hard to be 100% sure. So if I can't tell after all that, you're probably going to be fine. Just saying that. So that ride bell, we're playing it on the 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and 4 and. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 and ding 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 ding. When I played it like that, actually, almost sounds like a Latin vibe. But this song is very much not a Latin vibe. So we're going to now put these in with the bass and snare. Now I'm just looking at the sheet. You can see those rides. They are locking in with basses and snares. So they're just helping to accent certain notes in that pattern. So just keep your bass and snare the same as it was. Add these in. If this is too hard, then go back to stage 1 and get more used to the basses and snares. All right? That's all you've got to do. But let's check it out with these ride bells. All right, so the final stage for this song is the hi-hat foot pedal. It's playing all of the 8th notes. So just go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There's 2 things I want to say about that. One, the easiest way to do that is if you've practiced using the hi-hat foot pedal loads and you've got that independence in place, and that can just kind of that would just go on autopilot and you don't have to think about it. If you haven't got it to that stage, that's fine. But maybe it highlights the fact that you could practice that more. Just any groove, just play any groove, any basic rock groove, play on the ride symbol and just get the left foot moving. Play it on the 8th notes, play it just on the 4th notes, or play it on the ands. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Just get really used to that left foot being able to do that, because it makes this sort of thing so much easier. If you haven't got to that stage with that yet, then what you need to do is just break it down slowly and piece together how it falls in line with those other limbs that we've just worked on. That's a much harder, slower process, but it's still a great one because it helps you develop that independence. So it's all part of your journey to building that independence. It just means right now it's slower. But if you're lucky, or like you've put the work in, it's not lucky, but if you put the work into your independence and you've already got freedom with that left foot, then chucking this in at the end isn't that hard. As long as you've learnt the other limbs to a really high standard, you'll be able to bring that in. Let's have a listen to it. Next up, Mind Riot. This is a really interesting drum groove. So the song it's in 4/4, but the drum pattern's in 3/4. And you'll see that I haven't written a section of the song it's in, I've written a time. So this starts at 0 minutes 49 seconds. That's where you'll find this in the song. So let's forget, we've got hi-hat foot pedals in there, just keeping a quarter note pulse. Let's forget about that for a minute. Let's just work out what we're doing. So we're going 1 and 2 E and 3 and then a rest on beat 4. You'll see why in a minute. 1 and 2 E and 3 and. Now the bass drum is playing the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3. But I want to first look at the hands. So we're going floor tom, middle tom for 2 notes, then the high tom, then back to the middle tom. Now I'd be inclined, there's different ways you could do this. I'd be inclined to play it with one hand, being the right hand. So I'd go boom, 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 but that's it up to beat 4. So go floor, mid, high, mid. Then that open hi-hat on the 3 and I'd play with my left hand. Boom, boom, ba ba boom, ba tss, boom, 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 tss. Okay, I'd play it with one hand. But I don't know, see, there might be a better way you want to play this. The speed is 96 BPM, so it's not that fast to make that impossible. So that's what I would go with. So let's try that. And then slowly, we just need to bring those bass drums in as a quarter note pass. So boom, 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 tss, boom, 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 tss. But let's go slow and just try and get our head around that sequence. Alright, so now if you're comfortable with that, all we need to do is add the hi-hat foot pedal in, same time as the bass drum, so both feet go together now, just going 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 tss, boom. And what you'll find is, because we're hitting the open hi-hat on 3 and, you'll find it's already open because your feet are going 1, 2, 3. But also it's automatically going to close it again because it comes down for the next beat to play the to play the closed hi-hat foot pedal again. So you don't need to think about it being an open and closed hi-hat. As long as your feet are doing that, it will just happen. Okay? Just trust it. As long as you've got the limbs moving at the right time, it will just happen. Let's have a listen to that. All right, and finally, we need to get a sense of how this fits into the music. So the second line down takes that first pattern we learned and repeats it. Because it's a 3-beat pattern, so it goes 1 and 2 E and 3 and, it doesn't fit neatly into our bar of 4/4. You can see it takes up beats 1, 2 and 3, but then when it starts again, it starts on beat 4 and then it lasts for beats 1 and 2 again. Then the next time round, it starts on beat 3 and lasts for beats 3, 4 and then 1 again. And then it ends by filling up the last of that bar. So when you've got a pattern like this, it takes 3 whole bars to resolve. So we go 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 and. That's how it would count. If you look at the page, you can kind of see those 3-note beats. It ends with the open hi-hat, so that's how you can kind of see it. And then after that open hi-hat, it starts again. So you can see how it's just moving along the bar line, and it happens 4 times in that 3-bar cycle. So that's how it fits in the song. It creates this really weird, quirky pattern where you're like, oh, what time signature is this? Oh, how does it sit? Because the other instruments are playing in these 4-note groupings in 4/4. So it's a cool rhythmic choice he's gone for there, and it creates a really interesting effect. In essence, not that hard once you get your head around it, but getting your head around it can feel unnatural and tricky. That's why I wanted to break it down and explain it to you. Have a listen to that on the kit to get a feel for how it sounds. I want to look at drawing flies next because it's cool. It's in 6/4, right? So that means there are 6 quarter notes in a bar. It's a bit like 4/4 and then half a bar again. So like 1.5 bars in 4/4. I want to look at that intro first. If you've ever heard that, it might sound sort of normal in a way, but then it doesn't. You don't know when the music comes in, it can catch you out. Well, that's because it's in 6/4. So it's triplets. So we've got this feel where we're going 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 5 triplet, 6 triplet. And the crashes are on the end. So you're going like crash, snare, 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 crash, crash, snare, 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 crash. So because the crash bit is sort of the end of the sequence, it's actually a 3-note phrase. It's going 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet. Bit of a 3/4 feel. Right, so, but I've written it as 6/4 rather than 2 bars of 3/4. I think it's phrased better as 1 bar of 6 notes, 6/4. So what that means to us is the crashes are going to switch hands each time, which makes it really weird. So we're going to go, because we're going to do a single straight roll. By the way, you could change that up. You could find a better sticking pattern, but I'm going to teach it to you this way, and then you can try that and adapt it if you want to. So if we're doing single straight roll, we're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. So that's going to be a right, left on the crash in the middle, right? So we're going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. It repeats. That means repeat the end. So as it comes back, it'll be a left-hand crash and then coming back to the beginning on a right-hand crash. Point is, you'll start with the first crash on your right hand, then in the middle, it'll go right, left on the crashes. Then at the end, as it loops round, you'll go left, right on the crashes. So the leading hand for those 2 crashes switches each time. If you haven't got a clue what I'm on about, then I'm sorry, but hopefully this will help. All right, so coming down to the second bar, which is on the line below actually, it's the same bar again. You can see it's the same bar as the one we just did. But do you see it ends with 2 floor toms right at the end because it's bringing us into the groove. So it's going to go right, left, 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 right, left. So a right, left on the floor tom. My brain stopped working in the middle of that, if you heard that pause. Right, left, 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 right, left. Yeah, just checking. So it is a right, left on the floor tom at the end. So the exact same pattern as the previous bar, but you gotta really count. So where you would count that is 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 5 triplet, 6 triplet. So it's on the 6th triplet, you go down to right, left on the floor tom. All right, and then the last bar, we kick into the groove. It's basically a rock shuffle, right, with the hi-hats on the beat. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. That's it. So 2 things that complicate matters, because Matt Cameron likes to do that. He likes to change things up a bit. So first thing is, obviously it's in 6/4. Second thing is, there's an open hi-hat, and you can see it on the 4 triplet. So you're going to go 1 triplet, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, psst. Nice little open hi-hat bark, right? Then it closes the hi-hat immediately after. So that's why you've got a hi-hat foot pedal there. Closes it, and then it does a 3 triplet 4 with a bass, snare and hi-hat. 3 triplet 4. So the whole bar goes 1 triplet 2, 3 triplet 4 triplet, 1 triplet 2, 3 triplet 4 triplet, 5 triplet 6. Boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, psst, boom, ba. It's kind of weird, right? But it fits with the riff. So when you hear that, you'll hear that it does work in that 6-note phrasing. If you knew this song before, but something weird was going on, that's what it is. It's like an extra half bar stuck on the end to make it into 6/4. Boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, psst, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. You know, it's It's not that hard in theory, but it just feels unnatural. You've got to really think about it, and especially with that open hi-hat giving you that kind of push note on the 4 triplet, 1 triplet 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. It just makes it tricky. Let's check it out. Right, last up, Fell on Black Days, 100 BPM. It's another song in 6/4. Ooh, they must love 6/4. And I pulled out, this is verse 2 now, I pulled this out. The first bar of verse 2 doesn't do this, but then I think it's by the second bar it kind of settles into this type of groove. So, 8th notes on the hi-hat, snares on 2, 4, and then on 6. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Pretty straightforward. So let's look at where the bass is full. So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. That's quite straightforward. Interestingly, he does 2 open hi-hats at the beginning. Boom, boom. So that's a bit of an unusual one. So play the 2 open hi-hats, then they close. And then the only other interesting thing is at the end, it's 2 16th notes on the hi-hat. So it goes 6 and da, da, da. And you might want to play that with both hands, obviously snare and hi-hat. And then the last 2 hi-hats, you play as a right-left. So you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and da. Again, your choice. If you can play that with just your right hand on there, maybe that's better for you. It's totally up to you. I'm just gonna play it my way, just so you can see it. So let's check it out on the kit. Just we've looked at a range of different quirky, not quirky, but they're unusual, and that's what makes them so interesting. And just Matt Cameron's an awesome drummer, so it's nice to delve into some of what he does. Let's check out Fell on Black Days on the kit.